Neon Evangelion Genesis, a syllable for every heartbreak, apparently. I have repeatedly been told that this is the greatest anime of all time. Is that true? Well, as someone who has watched 6 other anime, I am fully qualified to make that decision. And the answer is yes. Video over, subscribe to my Patreon, links down below. It's been great talking. No, I'm kidding. No, I have no idea if it is yet, but that is what we are here to find out. And to help me is little Willow, who is being a rascal. You see, say hello to the camera, Willow. I am only 9 episodes out of the 26 into the series, but do tell me, what is the best anime? Are they right when they've told me? Or is there another show that I should be watching? I'm going to go through my positives and discuss the world building and the characters, then we're going to discuss my negatives, and then I'm going to look at some predictions of what I think is going to happen going forward in the series. So, this show was sold to me as a brilliant exploration of, child trauma and the horrors of war. That it wasn't just kind of like a flashy sci-fi story with cool mechas and kaiju, but that it was a complex exploration of really deep ideas. And that is definitely my ballpark. I'm there for that sort of thing. So imagine my shock when I got to the episode where our main characters are literally told, to defeat this alien kaiju, we must literally have a dance party. Because apparently the only way to kill this particular alien monster is by working together perfectly in sync. And the only way that they can possibly learn that is by learning a dance routine. You know, like one of those like old PS2 games where you're like standing on the mat or whatever. Yeah, literally that. Either way, I gotta admit, at 9 episodes in, I thought it would be darker than this. It was kinda sold to me as a darker show. But it's been pretty lighthearted for the most part so far. And I do really like dark stories, so I hope, kind of going forward into the next 2/3 of the series, that some darker elements might come to light. That'd be really cool. But, so far, Neon Evangelion Genesis has been fantastic. I immediately bought into this world that has been ravaged by an asteroid disaster of some kind called the Second Impact. It's not quite a post-apocalyptic world, at least not in the way that people typically imagine, though it clearly has had a lot of people die. But, the oceans have risen, entire cities are underground or underwater, and these alien kaiju, which they call angels, are attacking the cities of humanity. And so, naturally, in response, as humanity always would, we create giant mecha to fight them that can, of course, only be piloted by children. Neon Evangelion Genesis is basically Pacific Rim, or I suppose Pacific Rim is basically Neon Evangelion Genesis. And there is some really cool world building. In the first episode, one of those kaiju are coming to destroy a city, and it drops into the earth, like they slot into this underground bunker of sorts. I don't think I've ever seen something on that scale before, but it was really cool to see. Also, it did come out in 1995, alright? And it may be one of those times where, sci-fi didn't quite manage to predict what sort of technology we would have in the future. But these giant mecha robots that fight these kaiju have to run by a cord. Like, they've got a power cord in the back, so they can only fight within a certain radius. And I thought that was quite funny. But let's talk about the characters, because they are fantastic. I just met Asuka. Her name is Asuka, and she is German, apparently. She immediately made an impression on me within her first couple of minutes. I remembered her name really well. She's explosive, but funny, and likable, but also quite complex, which is really good. She's a great foil for Shinji, our other main character. She's an experienced pilot in these mechas. Likewise, Misato is kind of this cool mum character, and one of the things that I really liked that they did was you can feel the age of the characters. You can tell by how they talk and how they act. Misato approaches the fight with the angels with a kind of seriousness and gravitas that the kids don't necessarily seem to have. It's kind of like, they're a little bit stuck in their own world. And that's a really nice contrast in how they view the stuff that is happening. I do have a criticism about the characters, but I'll get to that in my criticism section. Now, you might think that these children have a huge responsibility defending humanity, and so, naturally, they would spend all of their time training and learning, but you would be wrong, because they also go to school. And I mean, that is an old sci-fi fantasy superhero trope, they have their superhero life and their normal life, and they're trying to balance between them. I don't know where the school storyline is going, because it's not actually in the series that much, it's kind of in the background, and all of our main characters are much more in that mecha superhero world. There's not really kind of points of tension that you might normally see, for example, there's a school dance coming up, and they've got that all to worry about. Like, Shinji doesn't seem to have big school problems. I don't know, I'm only 9 episodes in, we will see. But if there is one trope that will get me interested in a story, it is this: conspiracies. I love stories that have, the secret cabal of people in the dark planning something in the background. The end of the episode and they pick up the phone and they go, everything's going well, and then you don't know who it is, and you don't know who you can trust, and the characters are slowly figuring that out till they're betrayed by someone. And as far as I can tell, Neon Evangelion Genesis has this in spades. I don't know what it is, but there is this guy in a dark, weird room who is giving orders and getting reports on things and clearly has a plan coming together. And he was just given a fossil of some kind, which he called the first human, and he called it Adam, which also, by the way, implies the existence of an Eve, and I wonder what or who that would be. At the moment, it's just a fossil, but I did notice something else. There are these markings on the floor or the ceiling of this giant room. Now, if you've seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, you will recognize the huge human transmutation or just transmutation markings that appear as a repeated motif throughout the series. It's a formula of some kind, and it really did remind me of that, or perhaps it's a map. And importantly, I have seen it in the opening credits, and if I have learned anything about anime, it's that anything in the opening credits is vitally important. So I'm definitely going to be looking out for that. If you like, this kind of story, conspiracies, it's the thing that got me into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, then this might be the story for you. I can see why people call it the best anime series of all time. Its pacing is insanely good, and I really do mean that. It's one of the highlights for me. Every single scene feels vital, and it pulls you along. It feels like it's furthering the plot, and the characters. Let's be honest, anime has a ton of filler. Like, Attack on Titan is fantastic, but it took way too long to do anything whatsoever, especially in those opening couple of seasons, Neon Evangelion Genesis does not have that problem. I am 9 episodes in and it's felt like 1. The music is fantastic, a real bop. I listen to the opening credits every single damn time, and the art style is distinctive and beautiful. It's really reminiscent of that era. Criticisms. I mean, I don't really have that many. Hello. Just jumped up onto my lap. I don't really have that many at this point. If the plot is good, and the characters are mostly good, and the pacing is good, you're mostly quibbling over little details at that point. I will note that I don't really like the perving element to the story. It's a trope you see in some anime. like the young male characters will look at other young girls through binoculars while they're changing, often near entirely naked. And it's meant to be, I think, endearing, or it's meant to be funny, but I personally don't really find it that funny. It makes it difficult to like them when I think I'm meant to. The one criticism I have to do with the characters is that I want to know Shinji better. He's our main character, but for the most part, he's kind of a bit of a blank slate. You know, he's being pulled around, all the characters around him are making the decisions that drive the plot, and I get that the story is about how these systems use these children to fight their war, that they are pawns, they're objects, in a sense. But at 9 episodes in, I want to know more about what he wants and what he fears and have that play into the story. He actually has this moment in the first couple episodes where he runs away from this big mecha system, and he goes and hides and sets up a tent because he doesn't want to be around this world anymore. And to be honest, that is really, really understandable. It's endearing. It was great. We haven't really had anything like that since. And so I want to see a bit more of kind of those developments. Predictions. Number 1, I think that we're going to see some kind of twist or escalation in the conflict pretty damn soon. Now, up until this point, it's been a little bit formulaic. There's been, a bit of character drama, and then there's a new kaiju that shows up, and they have to work together to defeat it. I think that formula is probably going to shift. We've mostly been introducing our characters in world, but I think we're going to move on to that deeper, maybe darker plot that's been hinted at.
I had a second prediction, and I was very wrong, and I didn't think about it that much, so I'm retracting it, and no, I'm not going to share it with you.
3, there's going to be something to do with Eve, or Adam and Eve, and there's going to be something in the past that happened that was really important to evolution or our development as a species. Maybe we arrived on an asteroid to this planet. That's an old thing because there's asteroids. And the second impact was kind of a big thing. I don't actually know how the aliens ended up on the planet, to be honest, but maybe that's going to be revealed. And also I think that as this conspiracy kind of gets developed, someone we think we can trust is going to be revealed to be bad. Maybe Miss Misato's boyfriend. I don't know. Just my guess. Please do not spoil things for me in the comments. I am really enjoying it so far. Do you want to see my review of later episodes? No? I don't know. Stay nerdy, and I will see you in the future.